Hey friends, Peter Faciano here. In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick tip guide to get you guys off of your full auto mode on your camera and get you onto taking advantage of your settings in the camera and shooting in full manual mode. Now, this is not camera specific, but I will be using the Canon M6 Mark II as a guide. But most cameras are going to have the same functions on the top of the dial. So let's go ahead and get into today's video. All right, so before I jump into this, I'm gonna have you guys take a look at the mode dial at the top of your camera. We're gonna be looking at three places. We're gonna look at the AV mode, which is aperture value, or sometimes known as aperture priority. We're gonna be looking at TV, which is time value, otherwise known as shutter priority. And then when we move our mode dial to the M, the capital M, this is gonna be your manual mode. And we're gonna set the camera to auto ISO. So by working with these three individual values, you're gonna be able to slowly progress off of your green A+ mode dial and start taking control of all the features of the camera. So let's go ahead and start out by talking about the aperture value, or your aperture priority. All right, aperture value, what is it and how does it affect your pictures? Well, in order to understand aperture value, you need to know what aperture is and how it affects your picture. This is the basics. If you have a small aperture number, let's say f1.8, that means your aperture blades in your lens are wide open, and that's going to affect how much of your subject is in focus. If you stop down your aperture blades, your number is going to get larger, let's just say f16. And by doing that, your depth of field of how much is in focus is going to increase. Right now I'm shooting f1.8. My hand's in focus, my eye's in focus. If I were to push my hand forward, you notice that it drops out of focus rather quick. Looking at the chair behind me, it's out of focus. So my depth of field is going to be very shallow. And that's used to isolate your subject. So when you capture an image of a subject using one of these wide open apertures, you're going to see that the foreground and the background are blurry. On the other hand, if you're a landscape photographer, you want to get the majority of your scene in focus. So you are going to stop your lens down, make a smaller aperture, the depth of field is going to grow, and the majority of the subjects in the scene will be in focus. So this picture of the hummingbird that you're looking at was shot at f8, and I knew that f8 was sort of a middle ground depth of field, so I ended up having to pay attention to my composition. I removed my subject from the background. The pine trees behind this hummingbird are far away, so I knew I was going to achieve a blurry background just by simply paying attention to my composition and removing my subject directly from the background. I'm also very close to my subject. I'm probably about 3.5 meters away. So this is kind of a workaround. Even though that you might have a lens that is not considered to be a fast lens or have a wide aperture, you can go ahead and compose it to make sure that your subject is separated from the background and you can get close to your subject to achieve a blurry background, even though you don't have one of these really high aperture lenses. But then again, you also need to be careful. Just because you're shooting at f1.8 doesn't mean that you're going to get a blurry background. If your subject is sitting right up against the background, I don't care if you have an f1.2 lens. If your subject is smack dab right next to a background, you're not going to get that blurriness. So just keep that in mind. Now, that's the basics. And in order to adjust your aperture on the M6 Mark II, when you're in AV at the top, you have your little dial in the front. By moving it one way or the other, it's either going to open the aperture or stop down the aperture. And the beauty of having this set in AV mode, the camera's going to do everything else for you. It's going to set the ISO and it's also going to set your shutter speed. So as you are sitting here learning what the aperture is going to do to your photo or to your picture, let the camera do the other stuff for you. And then as soon as you are all set, ready to go, and you start really understanding the aperture and what it does, then I think you're ready to move on to the TV mode. And if you want to start in TV mode, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying that you have to get aperture down first before you move on to the next one. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one now. So go ahead and switch your mode dial at the top from AV to TV. And TV is going to end up affecting your picture in such a way that now you can start representing motion within your photo. So what do I mean by showing motion within a photo? It's a photo, it's a still. How can you actually show motion? Well, that has everything to do with your shutter speed. To give you an example, I've taken a picture of a fountain. This fountain was taken with the TV value turned on in the camera. As you can see, one of them looks very crisp and the other one looks a little hazy. And this is what I mean by showing motion. The one that's really crisp, this was taken at 1/4000th of a second. the shutter opened and closed extremely fast, so you only got a snippet of time. The other one was open for a little while longer. It was set to 1/60th of a second. So the shutter was open, the water traveled in your frame, the sensor picked up that motion, it recorded it, and then when the shutter closed, you ended up with an image that actually shows motion. Now there's a couple of ways that you can actually show motion in your frame. You can take your camera and you're locked onto a subject and you can pan with your camera, and then as soon as you get the object into a certain spot, you can release the shutter. And as long as you keep following the object as you do this, it's going to freeze the subject in place, but it's going to blur the background like this. Car photos are usually like that. On the other hand, if you want to actually show motion in your subject, if your subject is moving, then you don't want to pan your camera. You just basically want to show or follow your subject. As soon as you get to a point that you think that you want to capture, you can go ahead and release the shutter, hold the camera still, and the object is going to show motion blur, but the background will be in focus. And the process in the camera is still the same. So if you want to operate your shutter speed, just use your front dial. Move it one way, it will increase the speed of your shutter. Move it the other direction, it will drop the speed of the shutter. And then the camera is going to do everything else for you. It's going to operate or make adjustments to the aperture, and it's going to also make adjustments to the ISO so your picture is properly exposed. And it's important to know when you are trying to properly expose a photo, your camera in these auto modes are going to do it for you. So you don't really necessarily have to worry about under or overexposing a photo. The camera is going to kind of do that for you. Which brings me to my next point. ISO, shutter speed, and aperture are all related. So in my first example, when I was talking about aperture, when you open up the aperture on your lens, it's going to let a lot of light in. And typically speaking, when you let a lot of light in, it's going to overexpose an image. So you're going to end up having to change your other two values to compensate for all of that light being let in. You can do a couple of things. You can increase your shutter speed, so the shutter opens and closes rather fast, so you're not blasting the sensor with all of that light. Or you can also decrease the sensitivity of your sensor to light by decreasing your ISO. And we'll go ahead and talk about this at the very end, but just keep in mind, when you adjust your aperture, it's going to affect the ISO and your shutter speed. If you're in TV mode and you're changing your shutter speed, the camera is going to change your ISO and your aperture to properly expose the photo. All right, so now that you have a basic understanding of shutter speed, let's go ahead and move on to the manual mode of the camera. And we're going to set our manual mode in our camera in such a way that you are going to operate the aperture and the shutter speed, but you're still going to let the camera operate your ISO, or the sensitivity to light. So let's go ahead and jump into that one now. All right, so your final progression into shooting full manual deals with ISO settings. Now, ISO is your sensor's sensitivity to light. The lower the ISO, you're going to end up with really clean images. The higher the ISO number gets, you're going to start to introduce what's known as grain into your photos. And typically speaking, you want to try to strive for a low ISO picture rather than a high ISO. So to get your camera set up for this one, you're going to turn your mode dial at the top to the capital M, or the manual mode, and then at the back bottom right hand side, you're going to set your ISO to auto. Now with your camera set up this way, you are all set or ready to go. So now just go ahead and put your knowledge to work. Let the camera do its thing with the ISO, and then you need to concentrate on your aperture and your shutter speed. So the pictures that I have here are a progression. So the picture of the lizard here, I set at f8. It's a mid-range aperture. I wanted to make sure I got the majority of the lizard in focus. Since it was walking and bobbing its head, I wanted to freeze the motion, so I went with 1/1000th of a second. I'm shooting at 400 millimeters, which this is a totally different thing, but it compresses the background. But the camera chose, based on the conditions, the ISO of 400. And if you look at it, it looks pretty clean. So with the hummingbird and the flower, again, I chose a mid-range aperture at f8 because I wanted to make sure I got the hummingbird and the flower in focus. I'm shooting at 560 millimeters. I also wanted to show a little bit of motion blur in the wings of the hummingbird, so I chose a shutter speed of 1/640th of a second. And then based on the lighting conditions, the camera chose the ISO 800. And on this final image, again, another hummingbird, this is where you're going to actually see the grain or the noise being introduced because of the ISO. I'm shooting at 35 millimeters, I wanted just the hummingbird in focus, so I chose f1.8 as the aperture. I wanted to freeze motion a little bit, so I chose 1/1000th of a second as the shutter speed. But the camera, based on the lighting conditions, it cranked the ISO all the way up to 3200. And this is a perfect demonstration of grain or noise being introduced. So you just need to be careful what you're doing. And once you get all this figured out, you can actually stop having the camera choose your ISO. And if you feel comfortable with that, you can go ahead and select ISOs on your own. But while you're learning the combination of your shutter speed and your aperture, keep taking a peek down in the bottom right-hand corner to see what the camera's actually doing with your ISO. And then once you have an idea of what grain or noise looks like in your picture based on the ISO number, then you're all set, ready to go. Hit the ground running, get out there and have fun shooting. All right, let's go ahead and finish up this video and talk about the exposure triangle. I can't get too in-depth with it because otherwise this video is going to be 45 minutes long. But basically what you need to remember is the camera's going to expose for you. So if you are in the time value or the aperture priority or the auto ISO in your manual mode, the camera's going to do a pretty good job of properly exposing your image by changing the other values. So if you're in shutter priority and you're at a very low shutter speed, which means the shutter is going to be open for a long time, that's going to let a lot of light in. So the camera's going to compensate and it's going to decrease your ISO and it's also going to reduce or close your shutter so you don't overexpose the image. If you're in aperture priority and you have a lens that's wide open, it's going to let a whole lot of light in. So the other two values have to change. The camera's going to make a decision and lower your ISO, and it's also going to take your shutter speed and increase your shutter speed to compensate for all the light that's coming in. And when you're in manual mode, if you're choosing your own individual apertures and shutter speeds, the camera's going to do a pretty good job of properly exposing or changing your ISO so your image doesn't get overexposed. Once you start working with everything, this brings me to my very, very last point, practice. Just practice and pay attention to what's happening to all of these values as you're going through learning aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. All right, so I think that's going to do it for me, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, put some comments down below. Let me know if this is something that you guys are interested in as far as like photography 101 kind of things. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.